super happy to be here with you guys. And I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come and listen to me talk for a little bit. So I really am grateful. And I'm excited to talk about this topic, Muse, because it's an interesting topic and a lot of people have a lot of different ideas about this word, but so thank you for having me. A little bit about me: I own a video production studio. We're based in Ferndale, Zara Creative, and we're fortunate enough to do a lot of global work. We work with a lot of awesome brands here in Detroit and beyond. Some people like Apple and the Detroit Pistons and the Kresge Foundation, Bell's Brewery, Ronald McDonald House. It goes on, but really grateful. We're really fortunate. So I'm gonna kind of start off by telling you a little bit about our company. Our mission is really to create a space for artists, storytellers, creatives to fully be themselves. Because I feel like the creative industry, often we're kind of pushed when we're younger, oh, you want to be an artist? You want to be a filmmaker? You want to be a designer? Oh, there's no money in that. You know, we're told as when we're young, oh, you might want to be careful. And I don't believe that. I believe creativity is so important. I believe storytelling is so important. I believe design is so important. Inspiration is so important, and it is necessary for progress. That's kind of the point, right? We're all here to grow and to evolve. And so that's a really big part of the culture at the company. We're really trying to create that space to let people be themselves and to be their best selves, to tell stories in the world. Our intention is really to create meaningful work that makes an impact, that leads to progress. And so I'm going to set an intention for today. I'm a little nervous. I'm going to try and use that as excitement. And my goal is not to be perfect here. My goal is to not be in my head and try to be brilliant. My goal is to share my stories so that hopefully you find some inspiration and you make it your own. So that's my intention, is really around three things. They're the same three intentions that we think about before we start any project, and they're going to be the same intentions I have today. Coming from a place of service. So today my goal is to be of service. Perspective, to open you up to a new perspective. Because I feel like we know our own perspective, we live in our lives, but the more we can open up to figure out, well, how maybe is someone else thinking? Where are they coming from? What are their experiences? And what is the lens that they're looking through? That's the moment that our world becomes open and we're able to really connect with people. Because at the core of it, I think that we're all really the same. We have the same concerns. We all have the same fears. We have the same desires. And at the end of the day, I think really good creative, it does these things. It has the intention of being of service. It opens people up to a new perspective, to maybe give them an aha moment. And it really creates connection. It makes them feel that we're not so alone. And that's kind of why I am a storyteller, why I chose this field. So I want to start off with this word muse. It's a very interesting word, and I think I got like 5 text messages from people asking me, what is muse? You know, and so we're gonna give you the definition. Muse is a person or personified force who is the source of inspiration for a creative artist. Okay, so I'm gonna give you, this is like kind of the image I have in my head of this like mad artist looking for creativity, looking for inspiration, and they're kind of just like on this hunt, and they place all of their inspiration on this external muse. You know, this person, this image of, in my mind, perfection. You know, it's kind of like on a pedestal. This muse is on a pedestal. And really, I relate to this because I feel like for the first 33 years of my life, I'm 35, I feel like I really placed all of my muses, all my inspiration was external. I made a living of interviewing people for my entire life. I was a journalist. And so I got to know other people's stories really well. And that helps because you're able to create that connection by getting to know other people. But it wasn't really until I got to know myself and I started looking internal that things started changing and my perspective became more open, and I think it's really helped my creative process and really the way that I'm building the company and the focus. So getting out of my head, getting out of this pedestal idea, trying to search for that perfect idea, and instead bringing it down to earth, taking it off the pedestal and making it more grounded, and coming from a place of purpose instead of perfection. So that's kind of going to be the focus of what I want to talk about, because there's a lot of angles that we can go down with this topic of Muse, but hopefully my story will kind of go into that and help inspire. So I'm going to give you some context. I'm going to go through my story. I'm going to talk a little bit about the past and how I was really focused on external muses and external validation, kind of showing up in a way that I thought people expected me to show up. And really picking up on who I was based on what others were doing and what I thought was right. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my breaking point when I reached I was hurricaning my way through the ladder of achievement, climbing up the mountain. I reached the peak where I thought that was the goal. And instead I noticed it's kind of lonely, and I was real lost. And it felt more like a valley than a peak. So it was kind of like a breaking point. And then I'm going to tell you how that moment, about a year and a half ago, really created a shift in perspective for me, and how I'm a recovering perfectionist now. You can steal that term. I stole it from my friend Kimberly Coots. I cannot take credit for it, but I consider myself a recovering perfectionist, and I'm really trying to be more in the present moment. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey, my climb up the mountain. I think we're all climbing a mountain, whether we're working on a project, we're starting a business, we're leading a team, we're starting a new division in our organizations. You know, there's always this mountain that we're climbing. And for me, I was always this overachieving maniac. I kind of always knew at a pretty young age what I wanted to do. I've been doing video production since I was 16 years old, which is over half my life. It's kind of crazy. And I've always loved this opportunity to tell stories, because for me, it was always those stories of inspiration that really kept me going, that gave me motivation, that actually made me want to become a storyteller. They made me feel like I wasn't alone, that someone else was doing this amazing thing, and that if they could do it, maybe I could do it. And so that for me was really a driving force. Another driving force was always the people who told me I couldn't do it. And that was really, a form of a muse. People telling me no. That was kind of inspiration. They were a muse at that point. So, Michigan State University, I'm a journalism major, and it was always my focus. I thought I was going to be a sports reporter and anchor. And I was very, very adamant about studying. So yeah, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go through this. This will help me. Trying to stay on track. So this is kind of my peaks and valleys in a nutshell. I'll kind of take you through this. So in college, I was super focused, journalist, internship maniac. I was like that overachieving person. I started a TV show at Michigan State. I was interning at Fox 2, driving back and forth every day, because it's kind of a challenging field to be a sports reporter. There's like 1 to 4 jobs in each city. And when people get a job, they don't really leave in that job. So it's pretty tough. So I would always tell people, like, if you're trying to be a sports reporter or a reporter or an anchor, it's kind of like there's always a recession when you're applying for jobs. I applied for like 80 jobs, and I think I got 1 call back for my first job. It took me like 5 months, and I had so much experience at that point. I had like 4 internships. I'd already been an on-camera reporter when I was in Lansing at the age of 19, and I still had a really hard time getting a job. And I always had these people in my life that told me, why are you picking this? This is so hard. You're never going to make it. And I was like, that sounds like a challenge. And I will accept that. So I would say the first 33 years of my life, as I was kind of hurricaning up the mountain to the top, I was really using kind of that anger inside of me as my muse. And it wasn't really coming from a place of purpose. It was more to prove people wrong that didn't believe in me. That's just kind of the truth. And it served me. It served me well. I had a lot of really cool experiences. I ended up getting a job at Channel 4 here in Detroit. My goal was to get to Detroit, my hometown, top market, by the age of 30. I actually retired by the age of 27 from Muse, period, which was kind of wild. So by a fluke incident, I'm living at home, I'm in between jobs. My first job out of college didn't exactly work out. I got fired. I came home to wait tables in between a job that I got at Comcast Sportsnet in Chicago behind the scenes. And a friend of mine calls me 2 days before I'm supposed to move to Chicago to start this new job. I have an apartment and everything. And she calls me and she basically says, hey, Channel 4 is doing an audition for a traffic reporter. And I'm like, what? My pretentious, journalism background. No, it is very difficult to get a job. You must be trained and you must have a million internships and there's no way. Go online, click on Detroit.com. Sure as shit, they're having an audition for a traffic reporter at Oakland Mall. The mall I grew up going to as a child. And going to Ruby Tuesdays and getting chocolate talking. So I'm like, okay. So there's no pressure really on this moment. I already have a job. I'm moving to Chicago in 2 days. The competition's going on for another 2 hours. I remember getting up, and I was at my mom's house. She was in the shower, and I go and I don't think I knocked on the door. I just kind of like barged in. And I said to my mom, hey, Channel 4 is having an audition. Should I go? She just screamed, go. And I went, okay. I had all my resume tapes ready, VHS, because that's how it was cool back then. And I had all these anchor lady suits ready to go. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna throw it on. And this is all happening in a matter of minutes. I didn't have time to think. I didn't have time to put pressure on myself. I didn't have time to get all in my head, oh, I gotta be perfect. No, I got an hour. So I'm just gonna go. And I go and I remember standing in this line, there's 600 people, and they give me this little sheet and it says, 696, I-94, 75, there's a traffic backup over here, there's a construction barrel over here. And I'm just kind of reading it, and I'm like, well, I grew up here. I'm not a traffic reporter, but I grew up here, I know the streets. And I'm a trained journalist, so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go do it. I do my little audition, and I'm like, back to you, Carmen and Devin. Carmen and Devin were not there. But I threw it out anyway. And I remember that the news director was in front of me, and he said, thank you. I said, thank you. And I walked out, and I remember in that moment, I kind of went, I think I might get this job. So it goes from 600 people to 100 people, 100 people to 50, 50 to 10, 10 to 4, 4 to 2, and I was one of the 2 people that got the job. It was insane. One of the wildest times of my life. And I was stringing along that poor Chicago job saying, well, I've got a family issue. This was before I was as evolved as I am today. And I lied, and I totally bought time, and I competed for this job and I ended up getting it. So here I am, 23 years old. I'm working at Channel 4 with Carmen Harlan and Bernie Smilovitz and Chuck Gatica and Devin Skillian and all these people that I grew up watching. And I'm like, whoa, I've got some new muses. And these muses were nice to me. And I was like, okay, so maybe I don't have to be so angry anymore. Maybe I don't have to, hurricane up this mountain. This is good. And it was a really great time in my life. I got so much experience. I had such incredible mentors to learn from, and it was wonderful. Now, here's the deal. I got hired as a traffic reporter. I got hired as a traffic reporter in the evenings. They saw that I had experience doing sports, so I didn't actually get the morning job, which to me was actually great. I was only doing a minute of traffic reporting every day, and then I got to go out and be Bernie's sidekick, which was so fun. I got to go to Lions practices. I covered the team when they were 0-16. Yeah, history. It was really great. And at a certain point, I got moved to the morning show. And I didn't want to go to the morning show because that would mean that I was going to do traffic reporting and only traffic reporting. Well, this was in 2009. I don't know if you remember, but there was a thing called recession. And not a whole lot of people were getting up in the morning to go to work. And the roads were not crowded. So, every 10 minutes on the force, I'd get up there and I'd say, hello, you can hit that snooze button because roads are clear. Have a great day. Come back in 10, I'll tell you the same thing. So basically, after 2 years of doing this, I started to get to a place of, uninspiration. And I was like, not happy. I was not fulfilled because I wasn't storytelling. And people would come up to me in the streets, which I actually did not like getting recognized. That was a part of the job that I hated. Getting recognized and getting stopped by people, because I just think I'm some normal girl from Warren, because I am. I don't think I'm anything special. And I remember people used to come up to me and be like, oh my God, are you the weather lady? And in that moment, what I realized, I didn't take offense from an ego standpoint, but people weren't even listening to what I was saying. I was not being of service in the world. I was not being of value in the world. I was just standing there, pointing at a screen, telling people that nothing was going on. And I felt so unfulfilled. I could not hear my muse anymore. I could not see a muse. I had no inspiration. And so I decided to leave. And I started a job with the Detroit Pistons, who are actually now my client, ironically. 6 months in, NBA goes into its second ever lockout in the history of the world. I got no players to interview. So now I go back. I'm not storytelling anymore. Again, new job, 6 months in. At this point, I've been reporting for 9 years already, because again, used to be an overachieving perfectionist maniac. And I'm looking around and I go, what do I do? So, more inspiration. Low point in my life, a valley in my life. A place where I think we really get our good inspiration, where our muse can come alive if we're focused on being present. And I'm 27 years old. I log on Facebook, every 5 seconds somebody's getting engaged. So everybody's getting engaged on Facebook. My friends recently just got married. We go over to their house and they're showing us their wedding video. And in my head, I had this idea of a wedding video as like your Uncle Jim going with a camcorder and he's just, oh, and so saying, congratulations. That's what I'm thinking a wedding video is, right? I watched this wedding video and I can't believe it. It is cinematic. It is storytelling. It's journalistic. It's moving. I'm not exactly the girl who really dreamt about her wedding day. But, maybe one day. But I remember that moment when I'm watching this film and I was so into it. I had chills. I was crying. I was like, this is amazing. And the next thought that came in my head, I could do that. And then I thought, I could do that better. Because whatever. And I thought, that was it. The seed was planted. That was like the inspiration that just kind of came to me based on everything that was happening in my life. I was so miserable. I was so unfulfilled at that moment in my life. I wasn't living my purpose. I wasn't telling stories. But what was I? I was grounded. I was present. I was in it. Because when you're in moments of pain and despair, I think that you're so in it that you can't live in your head that much. You're not thinking too much about the past and you're not thinking too much about the future. You're just in it. You're so in it. And you become so aware. And you start to put the pieces together. And that's when the muse comes alive. So let's go back to that first picture of Muse. When we think about it as an external person, a model of perfection. There are outside muses, absolutely. There are mentors, there are people, celebrities, athletes who are doing amazing things. And I'm not saying to stop looking outside for muses, for your inspiration. But what I would like to introduce is a new perspective. And think about that muse as our own inner voice. It really is our own inner voice. And the more we get to know ourselves, the more we can discern between the voices in our head that are trying to hold us back from the things that we are supposed to be doing, and it kind of comes alive. When you think about the word muse, and you think about the word inspiration means in spirit. And I once heard a story about how inspiration is just always around us. It's just always floating around. It's always present. It's just waiting for the person, the right person, to be open, still, not in their head, and just ready to receive it. And I think that's what it feels like. So I want to think about a project that you guys are working on. Could be something you're working on right now. Or think about a moment when you've had a really, really good idea. Those moments of inspiration where you create something and people look at it and you get the reaction that makes you come alive. Or you send it to a client and they send you an email back and they're like, oh my God, it was amazing. And then you do a high kick and you do a toe touch and you're like, yes. You know that feeling. So think about it. When you get that moment of inspiration, what does it feel like? You weren't overthinking. You weren't trying to be perfect. You weren't in your head trying to be brilliant. You probably were just present. You were either having a connection with a person and you were having such meaningful conversation that you were there. Or you heard a song and it moved you and you were there. You weren't in your head. And that is what it feels like. It kind of feels like this download. Like inspiration just comes out of nowhere. In spirit. Oh, I love that idea. It takes the pressure off because it doesn't have to just come from you. You do not have to force it. Like that crazy artist looking for their muse. Your muse is inside of you. And so it really was when I started to get to know myself and I stopped listening to the expectations of everyone else that I feel like that muse started showing up a lot more and it got a lot louder. And I started seeing inspiration in everyone. Because what I realized is when you start to get to know yourself and you start to actually be still and you stop hurricaning up the ladder of success and you stop thinking about other people's expectations, you actually start to hear the muse. You start to see it and you recognize that the thoughts that are going on in my head are the same thoughts that are going on in everyone else's head. We all have the same fears. We all have the same longing. We all want to feel connected to something. We all want to live a purpose. We all want to be of service in the world. And so when you know that about yourself, when you can actually sit still and listen to some of the swirly thoughts that are going on through our head, and you can recognize that that's okay, that's just how it is, you see that in everyone else. And then you're able to create content or design or art that truly connects with people. You guys feel, is this going somewhere? Is this good? Is it resonating? Okay, so NBA lockout, I'm looking around, I watch this wedding video, I get an idea. Literally that day was the day I started my business. That was literally, I couldn't stop thinking about anything else. And so I launched my company in January of 2012. And I decided to become an entrepreneur. I never took a business class in my life. I actually don't even remember econ. I remember hating it. I didn't take business classes. I got my business degree on google.com. It's very, very good. I highly recommend it. And I just trusted this voice inside of me that said, go, do it. And I did. I took advantage of the opportunity that was kind of happening. And we started creating corporate videos. Corporate videos were actually what started it, even though the wedding idea was what kind of sparked it. So we ended up doing weddings as well. We do not do wedding videos anymore. Sorry if any of you are engaged, but no, I don't even do my family's weddings anymore. But we eliminated that division about 4 years ago, and I have no problem telling you more about that later if you want to email me. So from reporter to entrepreneur I go, and here I go, hurricaning my way through this adventure now, and I just dove in. Entrepreneurship in the beginning is something, and I loved it. I embraced every minute of it. I was 27 years old, single, I still had a roommate, and I was just working, and I was just grinding, and I was so into it. I was so into it because it was something I was building, and it was new, and it was exciting, and so I worked. But I reached a level of burnout because basically I had been running like a maniac and hurricaning my way through life since the age of 16. And eventually that's not sustainable. Eventually that's gonna kind of get to you. So, I'm burned out, lost, no muse. It really hit a low for me about a year and a half ago, in January of 2018, when we lost a member of the creative community who I'm sure you've heard of. Tim Smith, he used to be the owner of Skidmore Studio. Sorry, I have to breathe. He was one of my closest friends and really the only business mentor, creative mentor I had in my entrepreneurial journey. I'd been so busy hurricaning my way through everything, but he saw me. He saw me for who I was, not for who I was pretending to be, putting on this show. And he was my inspiration. And he was such a wonderful muse because he reminded me really of my own voice. Instead of seeing crazy, he saw something in me that helped me keep going and reminded me when I couldn't hear it myself. And so I want to share a quote called "Dare Mighty Things" that helps me create. It reminds me of him, and it reminds me to be bold and to listen to the voice, the muse voice, the internal voice that pushes me, instead of the voice that is fear and anxiety and what will people think of you, and oh, that's not the way it's been done before. Far better is it to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much, because they live in a gray twilight that knows not victory or defeat. I love that quote, and I love Tim Smith, and he is still my muse. He's still inspiration. He's still in spirit with me every day. So I'm in a dark place. It's January 2018. I've already been going through kind of a lost place. I'm at a point in my career where we've achieved so much. We're building out this new office. This was 2 years ago. I was building out a brand new office in Ferndale. We were still maintaining the Troy office, where I had 14 people working for me and we were growing. We had clients galore, and I'm still running like a maniac. And this, losing Tim, was my breaking point. I was talking to Drew Patrick, who's the now owner of Skidmore Studio, also dear friends with Tim. And we were talking, and I basically was like, God, I feel lost, like I need to meet my tribe, I need to meet my creative people who get get that inspiration back. And he told me about a conference that he went to a year before called Small Giants. And he said, I've found my tribe. And Drew's not exactly someone who just sells everything like that. So if he said that, I thought, well, I better go with that. Signed up literally that day. And this was the day that changed my life. This was the day where I hurricane, I'm up at the peak, and I needed to come back down to the ground. Because when you're up high like that, you're like on a pedestal, and you think everything's great. It's not. You need to go back down to the ground to get grounded. But instead of hurricaning my way down, I just was thinking, maybe I want to waterfall down. Go with the flow. Instead of hurricane, that energy doesn't feel so great to me. So I go to Small Giants, and somehow there's a section called Think Tank when an entrepreneur goes up on stage and they basically talk about a business challenge that they're having in front of 250 business leaders. And for whatever reason, when I signed up, it asked, would you be a willing participant? Drew told me that he did it the year before and he recommended I do it. And I thought, sure, I'll click yes. Fast forward a few months, day of the event comes, and everybody's like, oh, you're gonna do the stage thing? And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm prepared. Excuse after excuse started coming out. I don't know if it's a good time. I don't really know. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I haven't had time to prepare. Well, okay, so I've decided I'm not doing it. I'm not going up on stage. Thursday of the event, I wake up in the morning and I'm adamant that I'm not going. So what happened again? No pressure. I didn't put my muse on a pedestal. There was no pressure, okay? I did not think I was going on stage. 5 minutes before, Drew and Hemsa, the director of Small Giants, who I adore, they both are like, you should go. And I went, well, all these people are telling me I should go, so I'm just gonna go. Go up on stage, and I literally had a Jerry Maguire moment. I basically delivered a verbal memo in front of all these business professionals. And I basically go, well, we've got this business and we're really successful now, but we've done those things and I just want to start a new content division, but I'm not 27 years old anymore and I don't want to work, 80 hours a week, and maybe I want to meet someone and get married and maybe pop out a kid. I legit said that. I'm pretty loud, so you guys can probably hear me still. I don't know if this is working. Is it working?
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear. Okay, good. So I basically told people that I wanted to pop out a kid. on stage at this event. Like, I was so vulnerable, like, it was new for me. You're talking former TV person, putting on a show, literally it was in my contract to have a persona. Like, you have to behave in a certain way. So vulnerability, not exactly something you sell in my old world, right? And here I go up on stage and I just kind of bare my soul. And in that moment, person after person stood up and they saw me. Why? Because they saw themselves. What happens when we're ourselves is we give other people permission to do the same thing. And I think for me, that's why mentors have been so huge. Mentors remind you of who you are when you do not know, when you are in those valleys of your life that inevitably come. Because life is that. Ups and downs, good or bad, however you want to label it. It's not good or bad, it just is. It is what it is. And they're necessary parts of our life that we have to go through. So, Small Giants. That was the day that I started what I call my Executive Study Abroad program. You see, I never actually took the time to get to know myself. I was just so concerned about getting a job in TV that I filled literally every minute of my day with work of some sort. School, or internships, or a job, or an opportunity. If people asked me to do something, I said yes. No boundaries. I said no, never. That was very rare. I put too much on my plate. So I decided to invest in myself personally and professionally and get to know this person, the real person, and interview myself for a change instead of everybody else. And so I did a lot of things. I went to a Zoom training program called Visioning, where I learned how to rediscover what my purpose was, because, you know, I had been so busy chasing one goal and I reached it, but I forgot to make a new one. And that's why I felt lost. So I wanted to learn how to create a vision for success, which has also become part of our creative process. We create a vision actually before a project, and it helps so much. So I'm happy to talk about that with anybody after. But I also went to IEP Method, Intentional Energetic Presence. A woman that I met at Small Giants. By the way, I met all these people at Small Giants. That's how that happened. So she has what's called intentional energetic presence. And it's all about how to harness your energy so that you can be in the present moment, because that's where the magic happens and that's where your muse comes alive. And that was super amazing. I went to a conference called Wisdom 2.0, which is all about living mindfully in the digital age. And it was really cool because there were all different types of organizations there. And at the core of it, it's really about keeping creativity alive, even with all the distractions. So that was really cool. I went on a do-nothing silent meditation retreat. I was silent for 3 days in the mountains, and whoa, did I get to know myself. And I got to realize why certain beliefs that I had were dictating certain actions. Like all this perfectionism stuff, I started to figure out where that started, where it came from. I started to figure out the root of it, and then I had some empathy for myself. And then I started to have empathy for others, because when they behave, it has nothing to do with me. I don't know, anyway. That's like the most eye-opening thing for me of all of this, is like, I never took the time to get to know myself. But when I did, what I realized was I was just getting to know other people so much better. It made me a better storyteller. I think as creatives, it is our responsibility to always think about our target audience. Who's watching this thing that we're making? Who's enjoying this thing that we're making? Who's experiencing this thing that we're making? And if we know ourselves, we know how to talk to them. Because we're the same. We want the same things. Okay. I also read a lot of books. I started learning about this thing called self-care. Former Hurricane Heather did not know what that meant. And I started to learn how to sit still and really unlearn so that I could learn again how to be a different way. Be more the waterfall instead of the hurricane. Yeah? Is that good? Am I losing any of you? Okay, good. All right, good. So I'm going to share some more muses that I have, my mentors. My mentors that I met that day at Small Giants that brought me back alive. And I'm going to share some tools about how we can be present, how we can get to know ourselves better, and how we can let our muse come alive and speak. Okay. Ari has he teaches the self-fulfilling belief cycle. And I love this so much. It resonates with me a lot because basically, the self-fulfilling prophecy refers to the phenomenon of being able to expect something, and it comes true because you believe it will, and the resulting behaviors align to fulfill the beliefs. Because basically, our beliefs dictate our actions. Okay, so I'm gonna show you some, give you some examples. So let's say I believe that, I have to be perfect. Yeah, I have to be perfect in order to be respected. So what am I gonna do? How am I gonna act? I'm gonna be pretty standoffish, probably. I'm probably gonna come across as a little intimidating. I'm gonna come across probably as don't talk to me. I'm better than you. That's not me, and that's not normal, and that's not what any of us want to project, right? We don't want to project that. But if I have this belief that I'm expected to be perfect, what are my actions going to be? I'm going to be holding back probably, right? And so what are others going to believe? Oh, she's a little standoffish. And so how are they going to act? She don't want to talk to me. And then what am I going to believe? Oh, people don't want to talk to me. Huh, interesting. But I thought I was supposed to be perfect. Okay, so it gets all confusing, right? I'm gonna give you another example. Let's say we're going to a party. And I think Susie doesn't like me. Susie doesn't like me. So I go to this party, and how am I gonna act when I see Susie? Kind of weird, right? And then Susie's gonna believe that I don't like her. So Susie's gonna start acting like what? Kind of weird. And then what I'm gonna say, see, Susie doesn't like me. Susie doesn't like me. Okay, that's the self-fulfilling belief cycle. This is literally happening all day. So what beliefs do we have about us that is limiting our creativity? What beliefs do we have that is limiting our ability to let our true inner voice be heard? What is limiting that connection? What beliefs are we going into with situations? And I love this so much because there are so many things that we need to think about and ask ourselves and interview ourselves kindly and be nice and recognize that it's okay. I was just programmed that way, and I can unlearn it, and I can create a new belief. So now, I assume good. I assume that in every situation, Susie likes me. She might not, but I'm gonna assume that she does. I'm gonna assume good. Because if I assume that, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna hang out with Susie, and she's gonna be like, huh, okay, this is more fun. And now everybody likes everybody. Yeah? Is that good? Okay, is that a good example? Okay, I'm trying. All right. I'm gonna give you another trick to stay present. So Anise Kavanaugh, she's the one with the IEP method, Intentional Energetic Presence. I love this. It's a 5-step presence reboot. It helps get you here, grounded in the present moment, so that inspiration can really come through. So 1, notice your energy and presence. Be present in your body in this moment. So I'm going to take a little second. Let's all just kind of sit here. Let's sit up straight with what we call in meditation, it's what they call you sit with dignity. You sit with a dignified position that makes you feel strong. And your feet are on the ground, both feet planted, yep, feel them on the ground. And just close your eyes really quick, and we're just gonna take a breath in. Take a deep breath in, and take a deep breath out. And then keep returning to a normal breath. And just focus on the breathing. And focus on breathing in and breathing out. And if thoughts pop up that distract you, that's okay. Be nice to yourself and say, it's okay, just start breathing again. Focus on your breath. And it's just that bringing yourself back to the attention of the breath. And you're going to notice thoughts that might come up. You're going to notice feelings. Some of you might be hungry. Some of you might be thinking about the email you didn't send. Some of you, it might come up your drive home. Oh wait, I don't know, I think I have to pick up the dry cleaning. Or maybe you're thinking about the weird email that your client sent you last night. And it's okay, because guess what? That's normal. That's how our brains are programmed. And even monks that sit there for hours are also observing these thoughts and feelings. Okay, you can open your eyes. How do you guys feel just after that? Calm. Do you feel like you're back here in this room?
It's recentering.
Recentering, right? So this is kind of cool because everybody thinks meditation is this like really like complicated thing. And really, it's just breathing. It's just breathing. It's just sitting still. Here's another fun fact. Definition of Muse, meditation, stillness. Isn't that interesting? Why do you think that is? Because we probably need to calm the F down and just sit so that the inspiration can happen, right? So that's kind of getting present. That's that get in your body in this moment. Anise always talks about she wears boots. She loves shoes, and she wears boots because she's paying attention to her shoes. She likes walking in them. It keeps her feet on the ground, and she's not in her head overthinking. I love that. So maybe like get yourself some fancy shoes. Do a little tap every now and then. Remind yourself you're here. If your presence is off when you're noticing it, intend what you want it to be. So visualize it, see it, feel it. So if you want to think of this as like your highest self, your best self, when you show up at a meeting and you feel good, or you're looking at it in others, maybe you're thinking about your mentor, maybe you're thinking about the way, you know, an athlete or a public speaker that you watch on TEDx always, maybe you're thinking about the way they carry themselves. And you can take a little bit of that energy to help channel your own. 3, do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself in that moment, because we complicate things so much, and it's really simple. Maybe you need to go pee. Maybe you need to get a drink of water, which I'm actually going to do. We should all take a drink of water. Take a drink of water. Maybe you're writing something down. Maybe you're sending that email that is like still on your mind, you know, keeping you from being in the moment. So let's do those things to take care of it. If you're having a bad day, call an impact responsible friend. What does impact responsible mean? It means they're not going to go down the rabbit hole with you of playing into the negativity. And instead, they're going to remind you of your Muse voice, the inspiring one. You know, the one that's like, no, you got this. Not the one that's like, oh, you're right. It is terrible. Don't call that friend. That friend will keep your Muse silent. And then, step 4, step into your intentional, energetic presence. Basically, decide that that's how you're going to show up. And then go, show up, wash, rinse, repeat. I try to do this a lot. Because it's not easy to be present, even when you study it all the time. It's not easy. It's easy to get caught in your head. It's easy to think about past, and it's easy to think about future. And when our thoughts are there, we're not here. And we're not making that meaningful connection. Okay. Oh, I'm going to drink my water during this next break. So now I'm going to tell you about another story, Apple. We got an opportunity during my year of my executive study abroad program, that was self-imposed, I got a call from my friend, Stephen Pounds, my only friend from high school that I still talk to. And he is super talented. He shoots with pro athletes all over the world. He's shot like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. He works with all the biggest brands, Nike, Adidas. He's amazing. And I've been staying in touch with him, and I put him on some projects for Pistons, and we always love working together. It's so much fun. So he sends me a text message one day. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Thank you. So he sends me a text message, and he's like, hey, do you have a minute? I want to talk to you about a project. And I'm tired at this point. I'm at home, and I'm like, can I call you tomorrow? I was like, is it urgent? And he's like, well, sort of. I pitched this idea to Apple, and they like it, and I told them I want you to be the executive producer, and they agreed, and it's happening. We're going to American Samoa in 7 days. And I go, what? So my friend pitches this idea. He has an agency, and he's working with Apple. You guys, we're at McCann. We're at one of the best agencies in the world. You guys know that's weird, right? To be in direct contact with Apple. Me, I'm not an agency. So like, what happened? What is going on? I'm freaking out. So where's my Muse go? Oh, I put a lot of pressure. I put a pedestal. I put myself, oh yep, I was putting a lot of pressure on that project. Apple, I had 7 days to produce the biggest project of my life. We're going to American Samoa to tell the story of a football player who got a full ride scholarship to Arizona State. And it was such a wild moment in my life. Traveling halfway across the world to a teeny tiny island that legit, when I opened up my Google Maps, was not even a dot. I was like literally like in the middle of the ocean, 6 hours away from California, or 6 hours away from Hawaii, 6 hours away from Australia. What? I spent 8 days sleeping with cockroaches every night. That was really fun, actually. And I was in a place where women, not necessarily respected. So I'm the executive producer of this project for Apple, and I'm with my friend Steve, and I got to bring 2 of my team members from Zara Creative, and they all respect me. We're all friends. Like, they're all very progressive. They don't look at me differently because I'm a female. Like, Steve's the one who recommended me for this job, and my 2 colleagues are employees that really respect me, that I respect, and we're close, right? But being in this environment, let me tell you, for 8 days, when people aren't looking at me in the eye and they're looking at everybody else, asking them questions like, oh, yeah, why aren't you married? That was the only question I got asked, was why I wasn't married yet. And it kind of got to me after, 8 days. I'm a human being, right? So here I am, I'm in this place, nobody's starting to talk to me, I got bit by some weird bug, I'm sleeping with cockroaches, I'm at a pretty low point, and I'm putting all this pressure on myself because it's Apple, and it's gotta be the perfect story. And I'm kind of going back out, up in my head. I'm putting this idea back on a pedestal, and it was really lonely up there because it was, I'm overthinking things. I'm not on the ground anymore. So I felt like I was a little bit of a lonely palm tree. And it was actually, looking back, very symbolic. I feel like I had to get to that place because I had to, in order to tell the story properly, I think I had to feel what the character was feeling. And I think that's what really good creative is when you can relate to people, to create that connection. And so this is one of the most challenging experiences of my life. It was also one of the best experiences of my life. And this project ended up being something that Apple saved for their January of 2019 launch. And they sent me an email back. And it had so many exclamation points. They didn't change any of our creative. Apple didn't change any of our creative. What? It was so fulfilling of an experience, and I really truly believe it was because somehow in that chaos, I really tried to get myself grounded, and I tried to come from a place of being of service, telling Eddie's story, and telling a story that would hopefully inspire other kids that they can do anything, and that we're all a little bit like the lonely palm tree, but we can all be strong. So I'm going to share this video with you guys.
It means this.
A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore. Here's to giving ourselves the gift of letting go. There's only one guru. There's only one muse. You. Boom. Thank you. I would love to stay in touch. So here's my contact information. Please email me, and I will seriously tell you anything about the adventures that I've been on and what I've learned. And these are some of the resources. If you email me, I will send this to you as well. Okay? So you don't have to worry about writing it down or anything.
We've tempered like a short Q&A. So if anyone has like questions, we'll take 1 or 2 questions if that's cool, Heather.
Yeah, totally.
Or not. You can always email Heather directly.